What if all the ice on Earth melted in 1 second? This question comes from pretty much anyone who's watched a disaster movie and thought, what if climate change happened like really fast? Let's be clear, we're not talking about gradual melting here. No centuries of slowly rising sea levels, no years of polar bears getting sadder and sadder. No, we're talking about instant melt, as if some invisible blowtorch just went foosh over every glacier, ice cap, and snowdrift on Earth. Poof, gone. 1 second it's there, next second it's not. Okay, deep breath. First, let's consider how much ice we're dealing with. Earth has about 26.5 million cubic kilometers of ice, most of it stored in Antarctica, Greenland, and glaciers worldwide. If you melted all of that, you'd get roughly 26.5 million cubic kilometers of water. For perspective, that's enough water to cover the entire planet under about 70 meters of ocean. That's like suddenly turning every city into Venice. If Venice were at the bottom of a dark, cold sea, now imagine all that water released in 1 second. That's not melting, that's magic. Physics would look at that and say, I'm out. But since this is a thought experiment, physics has to stay and suffer with us. Let's start with the instant heat transfer problem. Melting that much ice in 1 second would require an astronomical amount of energy. Ice doesn't just become water because you ask nicely. You have to pour heat into it, roughly 334,000 joules per kilogram, just to reach the melting point. And that's not even counting the warming needed to get the resulting water above zero. Now multiply that by about 2.4 times 10 to the 19th kilograms, the total mass of Earth's ice, and you get 8 times 10 to the 24th joules of energy. That's more than 10 times the energy the sun gives Earth in an entire day, dumped onto the surface in a single second. If you could somehow deliver that energy, Earth wouldn't just warm up. It would vaporize cities, ignite forests, crack the crust, and possibly cook the atmosphere. We're talking planetary barbecue, and that's before we even get to the flood. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that we get the ice to melt instantly without adding heat, like some cosmic ice melting button was pushed by a very bored alien scientist. Okay, now it's raining glaciers. In 1 second, all that ice becomes water, rushing down mountains, flooding valleys, and swallowing coastlines faster than any tsunami ever recorded. Sea levels would rise by about 70 meters, 230 feet, instantly drowning every major coastal city. New York, Tokyo, London, Shanghai, Mumbai, Miami, gone. No evacuation, no warning, just glub. But it wouldn't stop there. The weight redistribution would shake the planet. Ice is heavy, really heavy, and when you remove millions of cubic kilometers of weight from places like Greenland and Antarctica, the Earth's crust responds. It bounces. This process, called isostatic rebound, normally happens over thousands of years. But if all the ice melts in 1 second, that rebound would be instantaneous and violent. Massive earthquakes would ripple across the globe, fault lines would slip, volcanoes would erupt, tsunamis would tear through oceans that are suddenly way, way deeper than before. Some islands wouldn't even have time to disappear. They'd just be pulverized under the weight of the newly crashing ocean. And it gets worse. All that fresh water flooding into the oceans would disrupt ocean currents. The Gulf Stream, which keeps Europe temperate, would stall. Weather systems would go haywire. Tropical regions might suddenly freeze, while normally cold areas could roast. Global climate patterns, already a complex, delicate machine, would be completely fried. Meanwhile, the polar bears, seals, penguins, and basically every cold weather animal on Earth, gone. Their habitat wouldn't be disappearing slowly, it would vanish mid-waddle. Some animals might survive the flood, but many wouldn't survive the chaos that follows. But here's the real kicker. Ice reflects sunlight. It's bright, shiny, and sends solar energy back into space. When you remove all of that reflective ice, Earth suddenly absorbs way more heat from the sun. This would amplify global warming in the most horrifying way possible. In days or weeks after the instant melt, temperatures could spike wildly. Regions that were once cool and temperate could become deserts. Crops would fail. Drinking water supplies, many of which come from glaciers, would vanish. Entire ecosystems would collapse. The planet wouldn't just be wet, it would be unstable. And remember, all of this started with just the ice melting, not a meteor, not a nuclear war, not an alien invasion, just Water, a lot of water fast. Could humanity survive? Well, some of us might, especially those living far inland and far uphill. But societies as we know them, infrastructure, food distribution, power grids, governments, they'd be underwater, both literally and metaphorically. We'd be looking at a global reset. Civilization 2.0, now with less beachfront property. So what if all the ice on Earth melted in 1 second? In short, global flooding, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, atmospheric chaos, mass extinction, agricultural collapse, geopolitical nightmares, and a planet that's just trying to figure out what the hell happened. But hey, on the bright side, you'd never have to scrape your windshield again. And somewhere, deep beneath the waves, the International Glacier Protection Committee would probably be very, very upset.